naively didn't think the manufacturers carried quite so much leverage in touring series as they do in Formula One, where they provide the powertrain. Like, I thought, because the teams are essentially independent, they're not contractually tied to a manufacturer. At least that was my understanding. Right? They just they buy the race cars from them, but they don't have a relationship beyond that. But maybe I'm wrong.
So they don't for the vast majority of the grid in BTCC, but there are 6 official manufacturer entries. It's just that the other 24 are all classed as independent, so it feels really oddly stilted. But those 6 are expected to be running for the championship every year. So if they fail, then they get booted out quite quickly. Interesting. Hey everyone!
Right then. Yeah, when you're ready to press your button and go
press
live,
the button.
Oh, excellent! Then
I have
do you want to do the bombastic intro?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I've launched early. Don't tell that to the misses or misters of the world. Simon here from High Playing Games. Welcome to the latest Failcast with myself and, of course, definitely Zero. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm doing good. I worked from home today, so that was beneficial it was conducive to good stream preparation. Because in our 2-week absence, the news bag has filled up again with some rather interesting, juicy news. Still haven't found a hairdresser, as avid viewers will see, but I've already opened my Red Bull, and I'm hyped actually because season 2 begins today with us at our new teams.
Yes, a new track.
You partnering Mr. Vettel at Aston Martin and me partnering Carlos Sainz at Ferrari. Newly outed racist Carlos Sainz, if you believe Twitter.
Again?
Apparently he was in a commercial with his dad years ago that could, through a lens today, be in some way interpreted as racist. I'll hold my hand up. I haven't seen the commercial, but I'm pretty sure it's not racist. It can't be that old, and it was a commercial. Like, no company's marketing department is going to sign off on something explicitly racist. However, I only have a Twitter account now to take images from the show and transfer them to Instagram. That's the sole reason I have one. But somehow, every time I open the app to download some pictures, something that boils my piss immediately appears. Honestly, everyone needs to delete Twitter. It's horrible. I'm even deleting Facebook this week, actually.
I've not been on Facebook for months.
I mean, yeah, that's the reason why. It's nothing to do with, the leaks or this whistleblower or anything. I couldn't care less about that. Anyone who didn't know Facebook was doing this stuff wasn't paying attention. But I realised, I think I have, I don't know, something between 200 and 300 friends. And I don't have that many friends. So these are just people that I have in some way crossed paths with in my life, possibly as long as 15 years ago, and now I'm getting photo updates on their kids playing on the beach. Why do I need this? The answer, my friends, is I don't need this. And all it does is provide people from the past a way to contact you about true story. Actually, I will do a bit of a pre-stream story. Right, a very, very close friend of mine from school, haven't spoken to him or seen him in a very long time. He contacted me through Facebook last year out of the blue. I thought, oh, that's nice, I've got a message from so and so. I opened it and he needed someone to sign as a guarantor on his mortgage. And it was a copy and paste begging letter that he'd sent to everybody. So I was like, nice. You can fuck off. So yeah, Facebook, Twitter, all horrible. I'm determined to subtract social media from my life. That is my aim. Except Instagram, because Instagram, the comment section, you can safely ignore it. You never see it unless you are deliberately foolish enough to step on the landmine, which I'm not. So.
And to be fair, unless you are going to submit all of your stories to them via their DMs, then you don't need to read the comments anyway. I was going to comment on one of the things you posted. You've done some Failcast images up on Instagram, and every single comment was about great story, bro. Let's socialise this through our DMs. And I was going to put underneath, I think we should contact some people via these DMs. But and I thought, oh no, I don't want robots finding me because no one knows I'm on there really.
Apparently someone responded to those people. Like, it's obviously a bot account, but they got a response saying, if you keep harassing us, we're going to hack your account. So it's like, just ignore them. Welcome, Eleanor. It's good to see you. It's great you could join us. We will do our best to have a great stream. Speaking of which, how about we begin that part of the proceedings? Let me switch over to the game screen.
Let's get to the Portugal.
So, as decided on the last stream, when we were pretending this is a democracy, we allowed you guys to pick the tracks, which means there's a lot of horrible tracks that we hate.
And that can't do, probably.
Yes. However, that does mean the season should pass by quite quickly. And we start in Portimao.
Yes.
Now, interestingly, we shouldn't trip each other up so much on this stream now because we're not at the same team anymore.
No.
So there's no longer any democratic interference on what updates we work towards. Sadly, the game still seems to have a severe problem with driver transfers, and I'm wondering if F1 has stepped in here.
What, to make it a bit more structured and meh?
I honestly think they've been told that you can have driver transfers as long as it's triggered by the player, because in none of my games have there been changes except when there's a retirement.
So I've only had almost spot on for me. So I'm on season 4 of my career mode, the extreme Osella career mode, and I've had driver changes triggered by a retirement, but it's the first time that it's an F1 driver that has moved from one team to another and triggered some stuff in behind it that's kind of shuffled a couple of people. Because I've had Ricciardo, spoilers for the end of season 3 that I've not published yet. Ricciardo retires, Vettel goes to McLaren, Giovinazzi replaces him at Aston Martin, and Markelov replaces him at Alfa Romeo. And I was like, oh, finally, a chain reaction. Because at the minute, it's just random GPT people coming in at the back that I've already hired for my team beforehand.
I'm sorry, but what kind of chain reaction happened that Artem Markelov was the driver that got promoted to Formula One?
I had him in my first year for a seller for lols, and I think that's what he's done as like the big, where it goes like by acclaim. He was like probably the next one up.
Yeah, Beetlejuice called it. Simon did something to make that happen on purpose. Yes, he did. Shameless.
He did.
Right, shall we go through the formalities of this stupid car reveal that we have to go through every season, even though it's the exact same car?
So I don't get, or I had no ability there to do anything to my actual team.
Why not?
Oh, because I was in the wrong fucking menu. Sorry, everyone. La 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 la. Bear with me.
You are a dick.
I'm sitting there going, why won't it give me R&D points? Because you're in the facilities screens, you twat. Sorry. It's been a long day, and I'm doing an all-nighter for work as well, so I was like, nom. So I'm having to pace myself with loads of honeycomb Kit Kats, which is quite nice, actually.
Honeycomb Kit Kats, you beast.
Mm-hmm. But I don't have any of my... So I don't have... activities to allocate like I would in my team.
No, you don't.
Oh, cool. Okay.
You don't. I was going to order some upgrades to my car, but I decided to save for a better one.
Ooh.
Yeah, all right, let's go to the car reveal. I'm sure all of you are dying to see what this year's Ferrari looks like.
Why is this in this mode?
I don't know, but I mean...
It's not as if you can change the...
like, also, how hard would it be in my team mode to have like slightly different custom car designs so that your team's car at least changes shape a bit each year?
Mm-hmm. That Aston Martin's little nose bit at the front looks really odd. It's like it's made out of plasticine and then someone's put their thumb in at the end. You're just gone, no! Looks like a fun print.
I agree, Beetlejuice. Who could possibly have predicted a red colour scheme for Ferrari? Unthinkable.
I am shooketh. No, I've not got any R&D to do anything. Ooh,
so, am I right in thinking you've managed to move down the grid because of the work we did at Alpine?
I have. I have slipped down. This car isn't very good at all. Sorry, I just wanted to see what they'd done because I'd had some facility upgrades, and now I think that lets me do something.
Well, you may not know this, but at the time you first signed for them, they were actually the fourth fastest team. But then the game was patched to put them where they belong, and and it's messed everything up.
Typical. Never mind.
Right, how do we want to do this with practice? Since it's the first time in a new car, do you want to do P1?
Yes, please, if that's okay. Plus, it's Portugal as well, which is a new track, and I've not had masses of time on it.
I think that's totally fine. I hope chat has no objections, but it's a safe place for us to chat without letting the driving take over too much. And let's be honest, round 2 we're both going to crash. So this way, at least, we have a decent length of stream.
That is true. Bear with me. I'm just sticking on a... Oh, no, I'm not sticking on an upgrade. I've got 20 R&D points too less. Next week.
That'll learn you.
Stay down.
We've got a new fitness centre at Ferrari. I'm sure I'll not be using that.
Okay, apologies. I just had to stop so I can get in an upgrade. This is where I'm going to start getting super, like, RC, not RC competitive, but like, need those upgrades.
No, I'm doing the same. Don't worry. I'm not bothering with the small peasant upgrades anymore. That's not how we roll at Maranello. Actually, tell you what, let's get into the F1 stuff. I don't know if anyone in chat listened to it, but I know you did, Simon, and I definitely did. The Beyond the Grid podcast with Ruth Buscombe, the head of strategy at Alfa Romeo. What an amazing interview. And if you haven't listened to it, guys, I urge you to go listen to it. It's free on YouTube. Fascinating interview on so many levels. Like, I mean, I think I underestimated exactly what a strategist was doing in Formula One, to be honest.
Yeah. Big insight into the world.
Because the way she was describing it, it was... there was way more pre-race preparation than I would have imagined. So she was talking about the meeting to decide which tyre compounds to go with at the season start in March would be had just before Christmas Eve. And then, there was a part as well where she was talking about Esteban Ocon coming into the sport, and she'd made a race prediction where there was going to be wet weather, and she said, well, he's got to F1 without ever having driven in a FIA sanctioned race in the wet, so he's going to be weak. So we don't have to consider him in our strategy. And it turned out he was really good, but I honestly, call me naive, but I didn't think they would go into that level of detail, like the particulars of each driver, not just their own but rivals as well. And my favourite part actually was a shout out to your favourite of mine, Marcus Ericsson.
Oh.
Because it was only a few sentences, but I don't know if you caught it, because it's easily skipped over when you're just listening to a long-form podcast. But she was saying that Marcus Ericsson was great, and actually when the car was stuck right at the back, he lost far less time under blue flags than other drivers. So he would always have a different strategy.
Interesting. Oh, that was good.
Dazzy, good to see you, mate. Welcome. This time you come before the end of the stream, so look at us, one big happy family. Welcome to the start of Season 2. It's exciting times. I have a new upgrade on my car.
Same, I've just been able to grab one as well. Although it's not pushing me back ahead of the Alpine. Triggered!
This car is so good. Oh god, I can't believe we already have Monaco in this episode.
It's alright, it's like a plaster, we can rip it off and get it done straight away.
It's not alright. I mean, Monaco's beautiful, no offence, Eleanor, but it's a horrible track to drive in these games. And the cars have only got fatter.
Yeah. I can't drive it.
The cars have only got fatter. The problem I have is into the swimming pool, because the cars are so fat on the rear, that I often hook the left rear on the corner of the barrier.
Yes.
Which totally fucks me up.
Yep. No, I struggle with this. How have you got on with Portimao?
Generally I like it. And I wasn't terrible. However, he says, we're now live in front of people, so I will obviously crash. But also, there's a section with upward incline that makes it very hard to see the track, and I dislike that immensely.
All right, welcome to the new season. I think we've done a pretty good job protecting our
Hang on,
game.
how's Jeff here as well?
This game is so unrealistic. There's no way Ferrari would hire a bloke from Liverpool. But there he is chirping in my ear. Okay, I moved to Ferrari to replace Charles. Simon, you moved to Aston Martin to replace Stroll, just in case you missed it, in case you didn't look down at your overalls today. I got replaced by Leclerc at Alpine, and Ocon moved in to replace you.
He did.
They did hire Smethers, but he wasn't a Scouser. Although Rob Smedley was my hero for quite a while, because you just don't hear many northern voices anywhere, to be honest. Oh, it's raining. This should be fun.
Oh God.
That was sarcasm, by the way.
That looks horrific. This might be a very short practice session then, especially if it's not, because although it's 19-20% for the actual race, they were dry clouds in the sky. So we'll see how we get on. So far I have done a little bit of racing around here. My whole braking areas and racing line for this track has been ruined because most of the laps that I've ever driven on Race Room has been round this circuit. So I'm so stuck in my head at driving like I'm driving an F4 car or a touring car and occasionally a GT4 car that I can't get that speed out of my head, and so I'm just gently coasting round corners that I'm sure I should be still flat out on, and I can't help it. It's like it's stuck in my brain.
Oh, the weather's going to change. It's not raining yet.
I'm straight out.
Yeah, I might do track acclimatization then. Actually, no, it's still going to change in that time. Yeah, I'm going to wait then.
Go.
Okay, the track is green right now, so take a few laps to get the tyres up to temperature.
All right, let's hop on board with you then.
Oh, it's so. Do you know? Because I've only had black and orange and blue and yellow cars in my team, and then obviously the blue of Alpine, it now feels really odd to have green on my car.
It's funny though, isn't it? How
you get
changing
so used
cars
to
in
it.
these games can actually feel a little bit wonky. See, the problem I have is whenever I move to a competitive team like I am now, the car handles too well, and I've got so tuned into understeer.
Yes.
That I can't handle a car that goes where it's supposed to.
So I'm having this. So I've just started my team season 4. I couldn't sleep last night, so I was having a go. having a go, and totally that. So my setups were beautiful for my season 3 car, and I was getting proper in and getting my muscles out, well, my moobs out, and getting quite excited with everything. Now my car is snap oversteer everywhere. It's really juggly on acceleration like that, and I'm finding that actually my delta to my teammate has massively increased because it's as if I can't handle a good car. So odd. Permanently must be
to be honest, we have stubbornly avoided the top 3 teams for 12 years now. In most versions of this game, I've never driven the Ferrari, like not even like offline. Sorry, not the Ferrari, the Mercedes. Ooh, that didn't feel so good. I didn't like that at all.
What's that?
I don't know, but something felt off, and the car tried to throw itself into the gravel for a laugh.
Actually, this would be handy to know where it thinks.
So, getting on to the wonderful and wacky world of Formula 1, let's talk first of all, because Eleanor has very kindly brought it up for us. The new Red Bull livery. Now, she was complaining that she struggled to tell the Red Bull and the Haas apart. Can't say I blame you. Red Bull did a big launch for it, right? And don't get me wrong, I love the old Honda liveries. You know, the white with the rising sun on the side. I actually think they look really, really cool. The Red Bull Honda livery, while I think it was a nice idea, I didn't really rate it. I don't think it looked very good. I described it on the grid as it looked like a video game where like the texture hadn't loaded.
Yes, I like that.
Like that's honestly how it felt. And so why Red Bull have made such a big deal about it, to the point that clearly they must have had an influence on Codemasters' decision to inexplicably put it into this game. While there are still tracks missing.
Yes. Well, I mean, after having the Aston Martin safety car in, this is clearly the most important thing that we needed in this game.
I mean, because they clearly must have believed it was going to be like a big deal and everyone was going to cream themselves over this livery, but it's not a good livery.
So you are hugely in the minority because I've only seen love for it. But I think they could have rocked up with any old livery and everyone would have loved it because it's not the normal one. I feel like the normal one has now, because it's been so normal for so long and we've got so used to it, any old thing would look good, and I like it. But I wasn't like yayed or nayed. It was just, oh, it's different.
No, to me it looked. I tell you what would have fixed it for me. The Red Bull logos with the bull. Get rid of the yellow sun.
Yeah.
Because like on the front of the race overalls, like yellow on white, I don't think looks good.
No.
Canaanite is a fan of the white livery. Well, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinions until I finish the device. But I have to say, like, it just did not ding my bell. This looks like, if I'm not mistaken, like it's going to gradually transition to full wet.
It's gone wet and activity. Everything. JS in the chat. Hey JS, by the way. Everything revolves around the advert dollar, for better or worse. Same thing happens in NASCAR and estates. Those cars look atrocious now. Some of them do, especially when they've got like Poundland on it. Well, Dollar Mart, you know what I mean.
Oh, see, I wasn't totally in the minority because Eleanor said she also saw some criticism of the yellow parts. So
cool.
there we go. I'm not a tasteless buffoon, despite all evidence to the contrary. For it is. Wow, this track has got wet very, very quickly.
It has. Leclerc out there in his Alpine on Inters.
Well, I'm on Inters too, but it feels like by the time I get round, Jeff's going to be bringing me in again.
Let's have a look at the... Yeah, you're right. 81% rain in 5 minutes, 65 now. Yeah.
Well, I'll see how my lap delta looks after I cross the line, and if I can finish this practice program without having to come in for a second time, then I'll go for it. I just have to remember the golden rule of driving in the wet, which is if it looks slow, it's actually fast.
We're ready to go.
I'm going to give the ERS one a go on the Inters. Let's have a giggle.
Tell you what though, this car does feel a lot better than that Alpine.
I can't tell with mine yet. It's funny that you say though about those liveries, because the race, ever to make a video for 10 minutes about something that could be said in 2, went on to do a kind of why this livery matters so much and why it's been made such a big song and dance. And they're basically trying to lobby for at least one race of, like, 1 or 2 races of the year, everyone line up with their own unique liveries all together, so that you can, I don't know, do a historical one around Monaco or something like that. And I quite like the idea of doing things like that. But if I was to put my favourite...
Some teams don't have a historic livery. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's true. Haas would just be
what would a Haas historic livery look like?
Just Gunter's face.
Actually, no, I would watch that, to be fair. Just Fox Smash written on the rear wing.
I would pay for that. Because if I was thinking of like livery changes over the course of the year that's worked, the Golf one is still my top favourite. But I also super liked what Alfa Romeo did with theirs. Oh, there you are.
Oh, which one? The one at Monza or the Valentine's Day testing livery?
Oh, I loved that one as well. But no, I was
covered
thinking...
in hearts, because that was beautiful.
I was thinking of the Monza one.
No, I like that too, because it was kind of understated, but it made the point.
Yeah.
I have to agree. I think in terms of one-off liveries, for me, it's... I think the Golf McLaren has it over the Camo Bull from a few years ago.
Oh yeah, no, I love that one.
The Camo Bull looked amazing, and I still haven't forgiven Christian Horner for not running it. Like, the whole point is to advertise the brand, right? And it was universally loved. And I've always maintained that the Red Bull livery as it is will come to be a classic years from now.
Yeah.
You know, like 20 years, maybe when Red Bull are not in the sport anymore, it will be like a livery people look back on fondly, I think. Because the one thing you can say about teams that keep a livery for a long period of time is that it builds a legacy.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, like, if I say to you the word Tyrrell, immediately you're probably going to be thinking about the blue.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, there was plenty of years they didn't run a blue car, but, you know, they had their success in Tyrrell blue, and it's what you think of. And people slam Ferrari for a lack of imagination, and I totally get it, but Ferrari's Ferrari, right? And you just think red.
Yeah.
To be honest, though, my favourite Ferrari livery in years was it 2014 or 2016, where it was like red and white.
Yeah, with the white top on. I think it's 2016. Yeah.
And I'll catch up with chat in just a moment.
These conditions don't look like they're shifting. We're predicting taking at least 20 minutes.
Who else is it? There's someone else rumoured to be doing a special livery soon, and I'm trying to remember what it was. No, it's gone. Apparently AlphaTauri also had a special livery at the last Grand Prix, but the change was so minimal that literally no one noticed.
It was just some Japanese writing on the wing.
Well, you know, why not?
It felt more like a sponsorship thing. Like, as in, like, changing of some stickers. More than anything else.
So, I tell you what. We've got a lot to talk about from the race. Particularly, I want to go into depth on Lewis's strategy complaint. We also want to talk about manufacturer interference, but why don't we kick off with the big controversial headline of the week, which kind of popped up out of nowhere, and it's really gained traction quickly, even though I've not seen it officially confirmed anywhere. But the rumour is that Sauber may be no more.
Yes.
And Mario Andretti is about to step in and buy them. I wish he'd buy Haas instead, if
Yes,
I'm honest. Because, you know, the Sauber name... I mean, I'm already sad that they dropped it from the Alfa Romeo moniker, to be honest. You know, I much preferred it when it was Alfa Romeo Sauber. And actually, this news broke just before the race. And during the race, Ted Kravitz made a point of calling them Alfa Romeo Sauber several times.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're not buying Sauber Engineering; it's just the race team. So that would literally take the Sauber name out of F1, and I think the Sauber name should have franchise value at this point.
You'd have thought so, especially as Sauber still, like, it's still a manufacturer or a name that is held in other arms of the motorsport world as well. So you kind of go, well, what are you doing, type thing. And the other kind of little oddity side note to that is that then Colton Herta is supposed to be in the running for that second seat, which is interesting because he's too touted as a future IndyCar absolute champion that's supposed to be walking the floor with everyone. But that kind of gives up on that dream and pushes him over to F1, which is interesting.
You see, because the thing is, I've got a huge amount of respect for Mario Andretti. I really do. And his team's in 12 disciplines at the moment. But none of them, not one, is a fraction of the expense that F1's going to cost him if he wants to be competitive. And I just think this has Gene Haas, Tony Fernandez written all over it again. And it's weird because he's not an F1 outsider. Like when Gene Haas came in and said, I'm going to create an F1 team from scratch and I'm going to win, like, anyone with two brain cells to rub together was like, okay, he clearly doesn't know what he's getting into here. Well, no, because anyone who talks like that clearly doesn't follow the sport.
Yeah.
Like, if you think you're going to build a team from the ground up, even with Dallara building your car for you, and you think you're going to be competitive with the top teams, then sorry, but you're a fucking idiot. I can't see what's in it for Andretti, to be honest, and I can't actually see what's in it for Sauber. I can see what's in it for Longbow Finance, the holding company that owns Sauber, but again, like, do they not have a duty of care to the team when they sell it, like to those jobs and everything? Because honestly, it strikes me as a fad. You know, it's going to be another attempt. Can we get, you know, with a US team and US driver, can we get US people watching F1 in sufficient numbers? And the answer will, as ever, be no. And that's just because Americans are raised on different disciplines of motorsport. And not many fans have time to consume multiple disciplines. So it kind of feels like, you know, this wild goose chase for the mythical wider audience, except with huge amounts of money and jobs at stake.
Yeah.
And also, it's always kind of tickled me that Switzerland, a country that famously despises the motor car, has a Formula One team. I've always enjoyed that. You know, a country where motorsport was literally illegal for a long time, having a top-tier motorsport team, that to me was fun. I enjoyed that. Like, made me respect Peter Sauber even more. Right, time to check the chatteroo.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I think they've tried to get America engaged with Haas. Haas was, if you think of like team names that go around in American motorsports, Haas would be kind of one of the ones, if you weren't going for like pure manufacturer breeds. And the other one that's a step up from that would be Andretti. So it's like let's throw the bigger name into the pile. But I feel like Andretti should buy out Haas so that it becomes still the American dream team, and leave Alfa Romeo, Sauber to be whatever it needs to be. Especially when you've got the only other odd thing I can think of is that are they trying to line up for some kind of with one of the new engine manufacturers that are coming in order to do that? Then they're going to prize away one of Ferrari's thing, and then that lets Haas become the junior Ferrari team, because Alfa Romeo was starting to not play ball with that, and so it's that segment that tearing away from the Ferrari family, so then they can then become geared up for a new engine supplier when they come in a few years, maybe. It's
really hard to know, because what's being said is that Andretti wants to take a majority stake.
80%, I read somewhere.
Yeah, so it doesn't imply total ownership, because I can't... Andretti Alfa Romeo Andretti? Like, because Alfa Romeo have signed a 2-season deal as extension as title sponsors.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't know if a change of ownership can get them out of that contract, but I mean, this contract already extends into the new aero formula, if not the new engine formula. And let's say the contract ends end of 2023. It's 2026, right, before the new engine formula comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves Andretti presumably paying for engines for 3 years, which are not cheap in the current formula. Like, if that was why he was entering, then doing it now makes absolutely no sense, unless they feel like they're not going to find a driver like Colton Herta anytime soon.
And Colton Herta is good. Quite whether he's going to... would he do well in F1, I think, is highly up for debate, because he's quite an aggressive driver, and aggressive drivers, I think the time for that has come and gone with current Pirelli tyres and all of that stuff. So I think he'd be in the bin more times than anything else, Sonodaing it for the year.
Well, I mean, I'm inclined to agree, and it's not because I don't rate the guy. I just think if he's on such a sure thing in IndyCar, why would he want to be an also-ran in Formula One?
Yeah, because that's never going to be a top-tier seat anytime soon. And not everyone can be I'm developing and rebuilding the team. And they've already bought into that narrative with Valtteri Bottas and his magical porridge. So he can't argue that either.
No, I mean, to be honest, like the whole thing just seems a bit stupid to me, and stupid in the dangerous sense that I think it could destroy Sauber.
And you'd also think, mind you, you would have said that about Alfa Romeo to a degree as well, having already had to wrestle the team back from BMW, surely once bitten, twice shy. But clearly not.
Well, I mean, the Alfa Romeo arrangement is just naming rights.
Yeah.
And an engine supply. So, it's still really Sauber. They just rebadged themselves as part of this contract.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, to me, that's fine. I actually, if the Alfa Romeo deal hadn't been extended, I expected Sauber to return to the grid as Sauber next year. This, though, Andretti takes majority ownership. He moves over a top-tier IndyCar driver to partner Bottas in a back-of-the-grid car. I mean, the only thing I would say is that for the first time since the cost cap was introduced, next season Sauber will be operating at the maximum limit. They've unlocked extra funding apparently.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not going to say that's going to make them competitive, but it does at least ensure that they're well funded.
Yeah.
For that season. But honestly, the more we talk about it, the more I think about it, the more I think it just seems stupid to me. It would be way, way cheaper to buy into Haas than it would be to buy into Sauber. And maybe it's because he wants some level of, you know, like the ability to be a constructor. You know, he wants a certain level of prestige, a certain level of preparedness, I guess, that maybe Haas is somewhat lacking. But still, I mean, what's the franchise value now of an F1 team? About $200 million, right?
Something like that, yeah.
So, yeah, maybe it's a bit cheaper to buy in a share of an F1 team, like a majority stake, than starting your own. But, I mean, it's not like he's short of engineers and facilities and so on. And then, you know, just reactivate one of the factory facilities in the UK as a base of operations. I mean, it's not the most efficient method, and you know, Haas for years claimed they were going to operate from Canapolis, and then obviously don't. But still, like, I don't know, like the whole thing seems very, very weird to me. Yeah, Beetlejuice makes a good point.
Stop that, Beetlejuice.
Yeah, Andretti's pockets aren't as deep as Mazepin's, that's true. And Wodge does point out, facility-wise, Sauber is better than Haas. Oh, definitely. I mean, Sauber still have an amazing supercomputer that BMW installed. And for years, they just couldn't operate it because they didn't have the funds. But now, you know, you could bring that on board. Thank you very, very much for following. Chudadi Milo, that's a hell of a name. Welcome. I hope you're enjoying the stream so far.
That sounds like a Star Wars villain.
It does a bit, actually. Chudadi Milo shot first. Right, we have about 10 minutes left of practice, and then we'll be on to qualifying. We don't normally run practice, I should say. It's the first round of a brand new season. We're both in new cars, so it kind of made sense. I'm getting my eye in now, but in terms of timing, I'm only good for P3. So, and obviously you can't, even in this game, you can't tell much from practice.
And myself and Kimmy got laps in dry tyres, that's why we were ahead.
Oh, are you P1, P2?
P2.
Oh,
Kimmy P1, but we were on dry tyres, which is why we're like several seconds up the road.
I'll be honest, I care so little about the timing screen in practice that I didn't actually look. I come into the pitch, change my tyres, start the new practice program, head out. I hate doing track acclimatization in wet weather, but I'm going to attempt it, and I'll just take whatever I get. Much like early doors at the nightclub, I'll take whatever I get.
So I'm pleased that I've managed to get a purple on the... Well, I say I'm managed to get a purple. I'm just about to get a purple on the race prep thing. Because in my career mode, or my team mode, I'm so used, because I've got it at 95 AI, I can't do the practice programs. I fail them all now. So all I'm doing is going around collecting the discounts for upgrades and hoping that my teammate AI does something. So strange. So it's nice to have it.
Something I have noticed is that, like previous Codemasters F1 titles, the practice programs are actually still broken.
Yeah.
So if you move to a top team, for example, qualifying practice. Oh, I'm going to miss that gate. Fuck. It will set you a target that is completely unachievable and tell you that's like where qualifying 7th, but really you're already the fastest person on track by like 0.6 of a second, but it still tells you, oh, you'll qualify 7th.
Mm-hmm.
It's really balked. Oh, I'm really fluffing this lap. Broke too late again and took the wrong line. I'll give it another crack on the way round. So, yeah, I guess neither of us then particularly convinced by Mario Andretti's decision here. That said, the deal hasn't been done and there's no guarantee that it will be done. Mm-hmm. Apparently the talks are going to conclude at the US Grand Prix, so I guess we will find out in the near future.
Yeah.
We have a few friends at Alfa Romeo Sauber, so whatever happens, I hope it's good for them. Because, you know, I'm always wary of F1 takeovers, but I'm happy to, you know, admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong about Doralton Capital. Because I really saw them asset stripping the crap out of that team, but no, they genuinely haven't.
No, and that team's been on the up and up, which has been one of my little happy stories of 2021. Excuse me.
I'm just curious now if they can carry that through, like if they're going to deliver something interesting next year, and whether the loss of George Russell will hurt them especially more. Like, would it have been better actually for them to lose George last year already? So Alex had a year to bed in.
Yeah, Alex is going to be such an interesting prospect for next year, because there's an element of out of the spotlight, out of the pressure, can rebuild and regain momentum. I think he'll have his hands full with Latifi if Latifi gets his feet on the ground early, because I think although Latifi's been a little bit spin and crash happy of recent, I think when he hooks it up, actually Latifi's pace isn't that far off of George's at all, especially in race formats. On the first kind of 2/3 of a stint, he then drops away on the final third. I don't know if that's due to time management or something like that, but that's always been the difference between like being able to execute, getting some points, or sticking out on a result. So yeah, Albon needs to go in hard and fast straight out of the gate, regardless of, depending on wherever that team ends up. And it's difficult to know because apparently they've barely changed anything on the car, but they did use one token to do something, but it isn't visually like seen, so it must be something probably around removing weight inside the car or replacing parts inside the car that change maybe the weight distribution of it.
I believe you're right. I mean, I know Williams are trying to get Albon released to them early so that they can already get him testing the car.
Nice.
But I don't think Red Bull actually want to let him go. They really want to keep it as a loan. And it's interesting when you hear or read what Helmut Marko or Christian Horner say about him, because, you know, they're quite happy to write off drivers, but they seem to genuinely believe that Alex has serious potential.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough to be in any of their cars, clearly.
No.
But, I mean, because, you know, what the hell's happening with Gasly? They've already told him he's not going back to Red Bull, so...
That's just such a clash of... Not clash of cultures, but a clash of personalities, I think, there. It's... What was I going to say? I can't remember.
Oh, hold on. I've worked with you a long time. I can telepathically guess. Wankcocks. That's what you were going to say. Wank cocks.
To be fair, probably wasn't far off. Oh dear. Enjoy that second place, Smithy. That'll be the last time you'll be up that high again for a long ass time.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I think actually you're going to be more competitive than maybe you're letting on here. What I would say is that, at least in wet conditions, my pace difference to the other cars is a little bit concerning. Like, there may actually be some success happening. And we don't like that.
Disgraceful.
Right, how can we go to the next session without having to drive it? Because it didn't give me the option last time.
Oh, did it not?
Let's see, go to next session. Quick practice, there we go.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Dazzy's called it. You're sandbagging, Simon. You big old sandbagger.
Wow.
Well, there we go. That's practice over, everybody, because I've unlocked everything, I think. Oh, no. No, I can unlock this. Buff. There we go.
I really detest how this works as a quick practice.
I mean, I still have to go through, like, practice 3 now, and then I'll get an email from the Scouts bloke saying, you didn't run in practice 3, you've cost us development. It's like there was nothing to unlock.
Yeah.
Literally nothing to unlock.
Boo. The only good thing with this, although I bet you won't, you're faster around Monaco than me, so because I will be so far off the pace, I'm probably going to qualify last and then just take like a complete and utter gut out of car parts, and then that should hopefully do me for reliability for the season. That's my trick.
I'm actually going to do the same thing because
Battle of 19.
well, I don't want to repeat my second most embarrassing moment in doing this podcast. So the first is at Singapore in our second season, where I crashed into the pit lane barrier. Do you remember? Like, I went too fast into the pits and the car understeered, and I just went like straight onto the corner edge of the pit divider, and like couldn't go either way, so I had to retire.
Wow.
The second was when I beached myself, actually, the season before last, and then my third was Monaco when we were at Force India. Do you remember? I was determined to qualify last to avoid any incidents, and I ended up on pole.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Because I wasn't paying attention. I was just talking to you and driving around, minding my own business, and it made me so relaxed.
The panic that ensued.
What made it even funnier was that we were doing the Q1, Q2, Q3. So I had to make this mistake 3 times.
Oh dear.
What a twat.
Good fun. Those were the days.
Dems was the days.
False failure.
Right, hold on. Let me...
Oh, it's gone very dark in this one. Oh, there we go. Come on, Seb. I got more points than you. Ooh,
What's
that's
going on
a lot
here?
of resource points, though. And some development boosts applied. Nice. Okay, let's skip through that.
Oh, yeah. I'll take those development boosts. Thank you kindly. So, ready for some hot
you go.
qualifying action?
Oh, yeah, baby.
You know it.
Drop it like it's hot.
Right. What else has been going on? So, there was something I was keen to discuss. And it was this.
Ba-da-bum.
The Mick Schumacher Nikita Mazepin situation at Haas.
Yes.
Again, at the last Grand Prix, they tripped over one another. how long, realistically, can this be allowed to go on? And bearing in mind that recently Nikita Mazepin said if he gets called up for national service, he's going to go. So he might disappear to the army. Does his dad then continue to pay? Like the whole thing is very, very confusing, because if you're going to build the team around Mazepin, then maybe you have to accept, okay, for while Mick is here, we're going to have this tension, but it wasn't so bad when it was just tension, but if they keep stumbling over one another, it's going to get very, very expensive. And this is something that we haven't really talked about in depth before. Like, because of the cost cap, the effect that accidents really do have now on teams, particularly teams with smaller budgets. Surely there is a point where it no longer makes sense. I mean, because they've already been told not to hit each other.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure that's like day one stuff. So, like, how do you...
Everyone ready?
Do I really think he'll do military service?
I don't think he will. I think he'll
No,
get
I don't think he will, but, you know, he still said it. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for this hypothetical.
Nah. Daddy will pay. Or if it is national service, it'll be something so that it is so far away from actually doing anything risky, potentially. I think he wouldn't do some admin. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's a really difficult thing to say, because also, like, I'm starting to see a lot of doors closing for Mick Schumacher as well.
I don't know. I think it's too early to have anything kind of open or closed for him in any way, shape or form anyway, because that car is so off it. I mean, he done a fantastic job to get into Q2 this weekend. Did a great job in Q2 to get as close to the rest of the field as he could. And it's just, all he can do is
but
make
then he dropped it in the race.
He did drop it in the race. He drops it quite often, I think.
He does. And I'm putting the blame on the car as much as him, to be honest, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, like he's positively impressed me, and I think he deserves a place in F1. But what I'm saying is, everyone pretty much agrees, like, Ferrari is a closed shop for the next few years.
Yeah, nothing's going on there.
Right? So, aside from Haas, right, and I would argue he's already at the point where he's... Is that you in front of me?
No.
No, I can tell, because I know how you exit corners, and that isn't you.
What? Properly?
Yes. They're sticking to what Codemasters say is the racing line. But everyone pretty much concurs, right, that Alfa Romeo is the next logical step for him. Andretti buys in, sticks Colton Herta in that second seat. Bottas is already on a multi-year deal. Schumacher's going to be, what, 4, possibly 5 years in before a seat at Alfa opens up. Ferrari are never going to let him go. So it's not like he can go somewhere else. Oh, you bastard.
See, I don't see him ever being at Ferrari ever. Unless a miracle happens and they want to buy into... Because from a marketing point of view, it is a marketer's wet dream. But
yeah, I mean, but then again, Ferrari don't exactly need the dollary dues, do they?
No.
I'm not going to say he's definitely not good enough for Ferrari, because, you know, it might be that, you know, a year or two's development and he suddenly blows us all away. But I mean, it's just like the competition is fiercer than I ever remember it being. And let's not forget that both Red Bull and Ferrari have publicly now said that they've approached Lando Norris. Which, let's be honest, well deserved. You know, that's another driver he's not going to be at McLaren forever.
Someone's just posted a faster time. You
And
can drop
well,
the fourth row.
that
You got
depends.
George Russell, Gasly. Like once he's free of Red Bull, he's going to be in demand.
Just get out of your way. Sorry.
It's okay. It's quite all right.
Um,
Your teammate wasn't so kind.
There's only one lap of
Boo,
fuel
shitty
remaining.
stroll. Oh no, it's Vettel, isn't it, in the other car? I think Lando could be in for a long term at McLaren, so long as McLaren keeps its upward trajectory, because they now are a top team. So why would you? Where else would you go if they're on that ascension and everything is nice and
Keep you updated as
close?
conditions change.
Well, I mean, this is what Helmut Marko said. He said, like, we spoke to Lando, but he's committed to McLaren long term. So basically, I guess prior to this season when they re-signed
Hey, Roy.
Checo, they might have had a sneaky word with him, but he told them to go fish.
Yeah, and he's been a long-term prospect for McLaren for a very long time. So he's had the McLaren investment that like Hamilton would have had, almost.
But also, he just seems so happy and comfortable there.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really interested, honestly, to see what McLaren does in 2022, because they've been so on it recently. Mm-hmm. I have to say, though, Danny Rick, again, going off the boil.
Yeah, there's something. Now I know that they've kind of said, "Oh, well, that
Please, car ready to leave.
that car has got such a narrow window, and it's not to how he drives this, that, and the other." That needs to change for next year so that car has a operating window that works for both, because otherwise they're going to deform back to a one car team again. Because you kind of think, actually, if Danny Rick was on the ball all the time, admittedly it's not necessarily pulled out massively in the points because of some anomalies in the results, but yeah, Danny Rick needs to be pulling that weight a wee bit more to justify his pay and status.
I mean, it's very, very odd, right, for him, because you know, his time at Renault wasn't exactly stellar, but he was constantly moving in the right direction. But at Red Bull, he was sort of metronomic.
Yeah, and see, I gave him the benefit of the doubt for the first half of the year because we had this at Renault. Remember, he was like the awful reversing into Gasly at Azerbaijan, and it was all a bit clumsy, and it wasn't great initially out of the bag. But by the halfway through the first year, it was fine. And I thought actually his 2020 season at Renault, I thought was superb. But yeah, it's just not clicking. And I was hoping that after the summer break, we would start to see like understanding over where things happened. And then obviously Monza came. It's got all the corners that he can wrestle that car around in nicely. So it was a nice little performance peak. But actually, when you take things at much more face value, it's not great, and it doesn't feel like it's getting better. I think that's the problem.
No, it doesn't feel like it's getting better. It feels like he's more unpredictable somehow.
Yeah, because the highs are so high and the lows are so low.
Yeah. Now, Norris has said, based on simulator data, that next year's McLaren is harder to drive than this year's.
Oh, God.
And with Zach Brown forgetting that he runs a Formula One team, because every time I see him now, he's in a McLaren shirt with a big Chevy logo on the front of it, from the IndyCar team. I don't think Andreas Seidel has the same level of affection for Daniel that Zach does. So I don't think his seat in the team is by any means safe going forward.
No, and if you continue doing that kind of performance, it doesn't matter how good, how nice you are, it would have to be a ending amicably deal. And then I don't think actually Ricciardo has anywhere to go, and then I think that would probably be the end of his career.
I do worry actually that he's not really going to be in F1 much longer.
Oh,
and it's a shame because, for a long time I've actually wanted an Australian champion. For me, it would just be a feel-good story. I've always wanted him to do well at his home race as well, but he seems cursed there. Because to be honest, I honestly believe he would have been capable of winning a title at Red Bull eventually, but I don't think he could compete with the Max we have now, but at the time, the Max he was racing against, because he was so much more consistent, even though Max was, certainly over 1 lap faster, it was Ricciardo that was actually bringing the lion's share of the points. Oh god, it started to rain. God damn it.
Got my lap in just in time.
I found 4/10 somewhere. I hope that's enough for pole. It is.
It is.
Yes. Fuck yeah.
Nice.
I wonder if I'm going to do the same as last season. Pole, fastest lap and the win, but only at 2 races, the first and the last.
Bookending in perfection.
Because, I would argue that this year McLaren really did need a solid second driver, and it's a problem that many teams are having. It's not like Checo hasn't done terribly in the Red Bull, but what have you done?
So I misjudged where the pit entrance was and had to quickly swerve back onto the track to avoid smashing into the wall. Don't mind me. Fixated. Sorry, continue on. No, Perez has been a wild anomaly for me. And again, that's down to cars being so specific to their lead driver, either intentionally or otherwise. Intentional for Red Bull, I think unintentionally, potentially for McLaren, that you really have these wild disparities unless you have a car that's easier to drive, but then it's not necessarily the fastest.
But this is again another situation where I have to doff my cap to Carlos Sainz. Half a point separates him and Charles Leclerc in his first season at Ferrari. If you were in charge of Ferrari, let's be honest, you're going to be one happy bunny right now, aren't you?
Yeah. He's. We do love a.
Less than a lap of fuel now. The tank is empty.
I might have to quickly take a emergency phone call. Bear with me 2 seconds.
Yeah, no problem. I will carry on talking in the meantime. You are correct. He is a 2021 race winner, but the thing is, I don't have faith that he'll manage it again. And the problem I've had is that his pace difference has been, at times, pretty big. He seems less able to overtake than he has in previous cars he's driven. I don't know, it's such a tough one to call because, like Simon said, when he moved to Renault, he had a very difficult first half of the season and eventually came good. And I still believe he's a driver of quality. It's just, I don't want to compare him to Grosjean, or Vettel for that matter necessarily, because every driver's got their unique foibles. But I do put him in that group of drivers that has, let's say, specific needs. And I don't know what his is. I don't profess to know, but clearly there was something about the Red Bulls he was driving. Because if you recall, Vettel went from being absolutely dominant to really rather disliking the high rake Red Bulls. And and so Ricardo was besting him, and he moved on. But there's something about the cars he's driven post Red Bull that I think he began to look comfortable at Renault just as he decided he was going to leave, and that's a great shame. Not that I don't, I was excited when it was announced he was going to McLaren because I wanted to see him, alongside Lando, forming a strong team that can take McLaren, continue in the right direction.
10 minutes left of this
But it
round.
just,
Think it's going to dry up?
it just hasn't happened. And while you're correct, he has won a race this year. As I said, I have no faith that he could do it again.
Monza is the track where it has the point and squirt corners, so you don't have to deal with a car. Like, you can wrestle a car around that so long as it stops all right, you're fine. There's no corners where you have to have balance, is it? Because it's a start, point, squirt, stop, slam on the brakes, throw it in, back out on the stuff again. And we all know that he's fantastic on the brakes, last of the late breakers, can throw it in and wrestle something round. It's when it requires any finesse of the car itself, and that's where the tracks where you've got long radius, medium speed corners, all of that kind of stuff, it falls away because he can't handle the McLaren going round smoothly in a window that works for him and his driving style and the car's performance. So that's where the massive gaps bring up everywhere. Perhaps the only anomaly for that was when he went all right at Spain. But yeah, sorry, I'm diving into that.
No, it's valuable input. So let's have a look at our new teammate battles. You are 4/10 clear of Mr. Vettel.
I am.
And I am 1.1 seconds clear of Carlos Sainz, which is a bit unbelievable.
Are you going to be mounting a title challenge?
No. I'm going to say no because you know what happens, right? I'm talking to you, trying to read the chat. I get a bit cocky and then I drop it. That's how it works. Right. Can we get out of this without having to retire?
I'm not sure.
Because you can't jog time on, can you? Oh well, we'll talk for 1 minute, 14 seconds. I mean, no one's out on track. Like, no one can improve. So, I don't understand.
We're sorted.
Anyway, I think I speak for both of us when I say we both wish, Daniel Ricciardo the best and hope that,
yes,
next year goes better for him. It's interesting to see McLaren and Ferrari locked into this rather tight battle for P3. And it feels like Ferrari are better at getting the best team result, while McLaren are better at getting the best individual result.
Agree. And I think sounds awful. If Ferrari win, it's because of the even performance between the two. Whereas if McLaren lose, it's going to be down to Danny Rick results more than it being say like, if you was to point the finger at it, I wouldn't say it's because Lando Norris lost the Sochi win. I would be pointing my fingers at the fact that Danny Rick is going out in Q1, struggling to get points in Austria, all of those kind of things. It's a consistent rolling ball of problem. So yeah, it's about scooping up the lows, not pointing fingers at the highs that were missed.
Yeah, I would agree to that, which segues quite nicely into what I wanted to discuss regarding Lewis's complaints over his pit strategy at the last Grand Prix, and it ties also into Lando Norris's a unilateral decision to ignore the team and lose the win at Sochi. So it was interesting having Jenson Button on commentary for this Grand Prix, because he said, "Oh, who is my biggest rival at the moment?"
Always giving me Vettel.
It's given me Vettel as well. Why would it give me Vettel? He's nowhere near. I guess I'm going to have to say Hamilton, really. But why don't I say Charles?
I'm going for Sonoda.
To make it easier on myself.
Yeah.
How are you finding things at your new
The car is a breath of fresh air. No, what I was going to say was, Button said,
Well, that's everything.
the general consensus is, if it's going from dry tyres to wet, you let the team make the call because they have more data. If you're going wet to dry, you leave it up to the driver because they've got the feel of the track. In both cases, the drivers went against the team, at least initially. In the end, Lewis did indeed come in. And, it proved to be the wrong strategy, but I'll be honest with you, if I was on the Mercedes pit wall, and I don't know how chat feels about this, or you, Simon, but I would have made the same decision. Because to me, his tyres were bald, and the cars behind were faster. They were going to eat up his lead. Yeah, you sacrificed track position, but it seemed logical that you would regain some pace on the fresh tyres eventually. Then it turned out that they didn't account for the fact that actually these new tyres go through a blistering phase, and actually that impacts negatively on your pace. And yeah, ultimately it cost him. But I mean, I honestly would say I would have probably made the same decision. And I was amazed Esteban Ocon went that entire race 0 stops, which I actually thought was against regulations. I thought mandatory pit stops.
Not if it's
Wet
been
tyres.
wave wet. Yeah, then you have to. You have the option. But yeah, that's the first person to go with tyre choices and stuff like that. The first person to go no stops since Mika Salo, 1997 Monaco. Because I had to correct the Sky F1 TED notebook where he said it was Panis in 96, and I was like, I hate to be that guy, but then I was vindicated by the thumbs up in the comments afterwards. Yes. So I would have done the same thing. I would have done it earlier, but for me it was a no-brainer to pit, because all it would have taken is for a slight lock-up down into turn one, and for that to have become such a huge blister that you would have had a Raikkonen Europe 05 moment where it would have vibrated and then broken the suspension and sent him out from being a surefire second to
Sorry to interrupt you. The game is zooming in on the cockpit of Carlos Sainz's car and putting his name up on screen, but there's no one in the car.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for
Amazing.
today's race. McKinnon lines up on pole position.
McKinnon on pole.
Verstappen lines up on the
Boom.
side. Moving on to the rest of the grid.
Your face looks haunted.
Bottas.
At least I don't look like a budget Prince Harry. I'm still annoyed. McKinley is a really common name, but they haven't bothered to add it in, so I still have to be McKinnon.
Ocon. Smith. Yuki Tsunoda.
Oh, you qualified behind our own old team.
I know.
You've done an Alonso.
Nicholas
I have.
Latifi,
Never
Mick
mind.
Schumacher, and Nikita Mazepin. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Nikita Mazepin looks like he's had a stroke. His face is wonky on one side. Right, I'm not going to consult with you on pit strategy because we don't have to do that anymore.
No. Such scandalous drama going on.
Right then, best of luck.
Yeah, glah, glah, glah.
But yeah, the point I was going to make was, and Crofty touched on it at the end of the Grand Prix, this could actually decide the championship. Because they've been so close all year. It could actually ultimately be the points that decide the championship. And then, of course, let's say it goes Max's way, you're going to have all the Hamilton fans forever, like with Rosberg, saying, oh, it was because of this incident. But, as if incidents are not always part of Formula One.
Yeah.
The other good example of this was Charles Leclerc choosing to stay out, but sadly his tyres went off and he lost the win. But again, I would have made the same decision.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's not like his pace was terrible. He made a mistake, right? Didn't he lock up? And then Valtteri monstered him with DRS.
Yeah, Valtteri in an overtake. Like, what alternative parallel world was we living in for that moment?
Yeah, bit of an odd one. But, you know, what we're seeing is, first of all, it feels like drivers question strategy a lot more than they used to, and maybe that's not actually true.
I think we hear about it more because the latest thing is to try and make team radio as spicy and as saucy as possible, I've noticed these days. That's the whole reason, the only reason why we've got the FIA radio going on, is to try and stir up controversy.
Yeah, I think you're correct there, but I mean, the only examples I can really think of from the past, and I'm sure you can think of more, is Jean Alesi at, I can't remember if it was Ferrari or Benetton, where he refused to come in, and it was either Briatore or Jean Todt said, "I will strangle him if he doesn't come in." And then Olivier Panis at the Monaco race that he won, with the risk of him running out of fuel.
Yes.
And the team were ordering him to slow down and he refused. I mean, you know, technical issues aside, you know, it's quite common to have drivers question team orders when it comes to, you know, position on track or whatever. But it certainly doesn't seem like drivers ignored their pit boards that often before. Whereas now, you know, like Lewis is obviously a well-known complainer when it comes to strategy. Mm-hmm. Max too occasionally, but generally less so. And normally I don't think it would be such a big deal, but when it's now the situation where at the end of the season, if the season carries on the way it has, those points that Lewis dropped, they could legitimately decide the championship.
Yeah.
Would you change the way the team operates internally? Like when the championship's on the line, how much leeway do you give the driver, or do you continue to trust in the data and the engineers? Because, you know, it's not just, I mean, there's money on the table, but it is also like, and this is potentially Lewis's 8th championship, and, you know, maybe Mercedes get the formula wrong next year. So it could be his last chance at a championship. I mean, where do you draw the line on that balance?
So, I think so long as you have... Oh, fuck. Sorry. I mean, you could have an all fuck as well, but... that's buggered me right up. Gasly, you cock. Oh, do you know what, actually? Oh, no, it does feel a bit awful. What lap are we on? Oh, it's too early. No, cling on. Sorry, I was just having my own little mini crisis going on there. So for me, it's about making sure that you have proper lines of command, and you do, and like questioning should be succinct and not elongated. But that there is always like a ranked command going on, and then if you step outside of that ranked command, that is when you become. That's when it needs to become brought into question. That's when you need to sort out like lines of battle, I guess, because otherwise then it becomes carnage, and then you get into that kind of no one's making a decision.
Change. Sorry.
No, sorry.
I don't even know what my new strategy is. I'm guessing that it's extending my run on the current tyres because I'm being a beast and my tyre wear is actually pretty good.
I can't tell if it's... Are you getting spits of rain?
No.
Cool, it must just be graphical.
But I mean, to be honest, this game does sometimes, like when the rain's just starting, it does make it difficult. I think rain is a risk. And it has rained in pretty much every session so far of the weekend, right?
Yeah.
For some reason, today's stream is taking way longer than it normally does. And I'm not sure we're actually going to have time for Monaco.
I'm glad that you said that. I'm going to need to dive off after this race, if that is okay.
That's absolutely fine. And, you know, the good thing is as well, maybe we should plan Monaco for a day where we've not been at work. And have it where we've got brains.
Brains?
I have to say, this car feels fantastic. I made the correct move, even though somehow I'm earning less money than you.
It's alright. There's a
Aston Martin
performance
slashing the dollary dues.
There's a performance clause in there for extra points for you, I'm sure. Win bonuses. That's what I used to do with Motorsport Manager. Just offer people ridiculous win payment clauses and hope that we always come second.
Well, you know, this is what bankrupted Lotus, right?
Yeah.
Offering Kimi Räikkönen 50 grand per point. And then he scores up, what was it, 150 points that year and bankrupts the team. I have to say, like, that did reduce my opinion of Räikkönen a little bit, because I would have seen the damage that was going to cause and then negotiated it.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, then again, like, he fucked off to Ferrari, so, you know, take the money and run, I guess. But, you know, you would think that they'd given him this great car and you wanted them to have a great car again, so it's better to let them use the money for car development.
Didn't catch that. Say again.
Shit.
I'm hearing you swearing a lot. What's going on?
We'll receive you at the
No,
end of this.
I was just having a controller slip out my hand moment. But we're okay.
Sweaty Betty.
That's a little bit.
But yeah, I think overall so many people drove such a fantastic Grand Prix. Mm-hmm. The race for me wasn't a 5-star one by any stretch.
No.
But there was a lot of entertainment going on nevertheless. And I was again impressed by how close a lot of the cars are to each other. Mm-hmm. And how the evolution of a strategy over race distance can bring unlikely pairings of cars together.
Yeah, that was nice.
It's the first time in a long while I've been impressed by Yuki Tsunoda, who managed to keep Hamilton behind him very competently.
He did.
Like, if he keeps driving like that, then I'll stop saying he shouldn't be in Formula One.
Yeah, I mean, it was a shame that he then binned it later on onto the grass, which was a slightly predictable but unfortunate thing. But it was nice to see him soak up the pressure on that way, do some good defensive driving, stuff that we've seen him do in F2 quite often and very well. But again, it's though they were in flashes, and this was in flashes again. So he does all of that and then undoes the work of what would have been a nice and comfy point scoring finish and a double points finish for AlphaTauri by dropping it in an awkward place. The other stat that popped out for me with Tsunoda was Crofty said Tsunoda has brought out 5 red flags in qualifying this year. And I thought, fuck.
He has, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he has had a lot of offs in qualifying, like severe ones.
I knew it was a few, but I didn't realise it was that much. It really surprised me, so, yeah.
Okay, the gap
He's...
behind is 4.1 seconds.
I think you can sort of allow it, right, because it's his first season, but
yeah.
I have to say he has underwhelmed, and the team as a whole have kind of underwhelmed. Like, Gasly has over-delivered across the season, I would think, But, given the promise that car showed at the start, and let's not forget that it was considered to be the third fastest car.
Yeah.
Like, Will Buxton was creaming his jeans over that car at the start of the year.
Yes.
Like, constantly, every time I saw him, he was like, oh, they're going to be at the front, they're going to be at the front. And it never materialised except occasionally with Gasly, in his usual once or twice a season, look how fast I can be, daddy,
Yeah. His qualifying is superb, but the transition into an actual race finish has been less than excitable for me. And it's about hooking up that whole weekend altogether, and it needs to happen a bit more frequently, because everyone's saying about how he's been a star of the season, and I don't disagree, but I don't agree either, because it's all about the quali.
It is. It is. No, I mean, but I don't know again if it's a shortcoming of the car in race trim.
Yeah, I can't tell if he's over delivering so much in the races, like you would say Russell does, and we're expecting too much of that AlphaTauri over a race distance. You're absolutely right. No Ocon.
Right, please get out of my way. I know you don't have to, but if you keep driving like that, one of us is going to lose a wing.
Well, I've already done my first wing change of the season.
Are you coming into the pits? No. Okay, that's something.
That's another thing we don't have to worry about now either. That you've just said.
Oh no, but I wasn't talking to you.
No,
See,
no.
I nearly came out behind a Red Bull van because that Aston Martin held me up, and he held me up in qualifying as well.
Well done, Vettel.
He ruined my first quali lap, and I went out of my way. I took a really weird line into one of the corners to try and get past him without any risk of contact, and yeah, he just came right back at me and overtook me again. It's like, no, you don't understand how this works. You're costing me a shitload of time. It's funny how actually cars don't get penalised for blocking you if you're both on a fast lap. Even if they are blocking you. Tell you something else I like about this version of the game. There's no longer a bonus to pit stop time.
What do you mean?
Well, it used to be that you could unlock faster pit stops in development. Do you remember?
Oh God, yeah.
As if the team were just like, oh well, now you throw some money at it, sure, we'll go a bit faster. We were only half-arsing it because we doubted your commitment.
I'm so glad that you paid for our instruction manual of training.
Something I want to touch on very quickly before we get back to the real F1 stuff. The Frontier F1 Manager game is supposed to be out in a few months. Not heard anything about this since 2020. I Googled regularly, even on the website. Nothing in the game's media, nothing. I've not seen a screenshot, I've not seen a conversation about it in over a year.
Still happening, right?
I certainly bloody hope so, but I was kind of hoping you were going to step in at this point and go, actually, my gaming contacts have told me this.
No, but do you know what? I might tweet Holly, who used to be on PlayStation Access. She's just moved to Frontier as their head of PR. And influencer relations and all of that jazz, so maybe she's got something juicy that she.
And who's more influential than Simon Smith?
Exactly, damn it. Talking of influential, so tomorrow I will be buying. Oh. What? Sorry, Jeff was just hilarious there. There seems to be a fault with our ERS issue. Don't worry, the fault's just been fixed. I've never had that before, but thanks. And it's not fixed, it's locked.
Monitoring it, are
Idiot. Anyway, Jeff desperately tried to ruin the fact that I'm actually running 10th. So tomorrow, Ultimate Racing 2D2 comes out into early access, which I appreciate may not be everyone's favourite game that they're looking forward to, but it's one of mine because the first game was fan-fucking-tastic. But this one adds complete customization of car graphics. Now, the reason why this is exciting to me is because one of the few video series that I do that actually was getting over 1,000 hits a video was me running AI championship races of older F1 seasons with like custom AI like values and stuff, and they've proper gone into this to make like all of the car performance and driver performances moddable, so that you can make your own car sets of like 20 F1 cars all going around at once. But now you can paint your own liveries on it and all of that stuff. So it is going to be a Steam Workshop wet dream, I think, once it's assuming that it lives up to its full potential. So I'm looking forward to that.
You know what we need to do? We need to have a fantasy F1.
Yes.
But I didn't know you were doing that. I definitely watched that. I missed the old like TV camera F1 games where you could like set up the grid and watch the race with commentary.
Yes.
I missed that so much. And it's weird because it seems like such a pointless feature, but it actually made a lot of the older F1 games for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And when I tweeted the F1 games, I think it was 19, and I said, "Are you going to bring back spectator mode?" And they went, "Spectator mode is in the game." I was like, "No, this is not what you mean." So I think it might have been lost in translation somewhere.
Well, the problem is like they don't have commentary either, so I'm not sure how gripping it would be to watch on your own. Like if you were doing your own commentary for YouTube, then maybe. Something else though on this sort of theme, Motorsport Manager on the PC, long forgotten. There's been 2 sequels that have come out for mobile only, despite the fact that the PC version was massively successful and still holds up as a great title today, and has a lot of Steam Workshop mods as well. There is, and I guess it's been out for a while, but I haven't been near the game, so I didn't know. There's not only an enhanced graphics mod that makes it look really, really good, but there is an extended camera set, so you can get TV-style presentation.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I'll have to have a look.
You can't install those things through the workshop because, I don't know, I guess the game developers don't like it.
Yep.
People making their work look better. But they are easy to find, shall we say. And
Awesome.
It's made me decide that I'm going to do another Motorsport Manager playthrough once I've finished Tyrrell Time. Because I started one that was gaining traction as well with playing as Leighton House in a like retro mod.
Yeah,
But
some of those
after
retro mods are proper good, aren't they?
Yeah, but after I got through the first, I think, 2 Grand Prix, the 3rd track was bugged and it just crashed the game every time I tried to play it. So I had to kill the series before it even began.
That's a shame.
But yeah, Frontier Games, get your act together, get some stuff out to the press, let us see this game, tell us about what we're going to be getting, because it was supposed to come out in March or April 2022. That's not that far away. You should be hyping it by now.
Yeah. Agree.
Because what I also don't like as well is that if they're not yelling about it right now, that tells me maybe it's not very good, or they know it's not what the fans want. Like maybe it's not in depth enough or something.
There's 3 laps
Yeah.
of fuel remaining.
Because it is unusual, right? I mean, for an indie title, sure, but like for a big release with a huge sporting tie-in, like there's usually YouTube videos and so on coming out well in advance of launch.
Especially for those types of games, because you'd have like the drip feed of look at this new feature, look at this, look at that, because you can proper eke out that kind of style of content with those types of games, because they do it all the time with so they've got the new Jurassic World Evolution 2 coming out. I've seen so many videos about that game that I feel like I know it intimately inside and out, because every new video is, look at this dinosaur. All I have to do is look at this garage feature. And you've got like a year's worth of spreading content out. So no, I agree.
Yeah, dev diaries, dev interviews.
Yep.
You know, figuring out how the physics are going to work. Like, are the cars going to be on rails, or have they properly simulated drivers who make mistakes? I mean, I guess it's still coming, because the Codemasters F1 Manager game rebranded itself to F1 Clash, because it wasn't a manager game. It was like a card building deck game, really, with a pretend race.
Which sounds interesting, but not really what I want from a management game, obviously. Ah, shit, no. Oh!
There's been an incident on track resulting in loose debris.
Oh, is that you, Simon? The incident on track?
Oh, yes.
You're just about to go on to the final lap and you were running in the points. That is like peak failure. What happened? Did you drop it?
Yeah, I dropped it, but then went across the track and took out Norris. And now Raikkonen's just smacked... Oh, sorry, Giovinazzi's just smacked me as well, so... bollocks.
It looks like I'm going to win this race, but it's not by miles. I've got both Red Bulls right up my chuff. Oh shit, I've just lost the lead.
No!
I span it.
You're trying to outfail my fail?
A little bit, yeah. Oh, I'm actually going to finish second. I can't believe that. I mean, I didn't spin all the way round, which is good.
Sounds like what I did.
But yeah, like, the car just rotated in place and... Yeah, I fucked it. Oh, god damn it. God damn it. Okay, I'm coming home second. Fuck. Oh, bollocks. Will I do it with the Redux mod? Yes, probably, yes. I think so. I can't believe I dropped the lead on like 3 corners from the end. That's so ridiculous. Sergio Perez is your winner. Jurassic World, right. I bought the first game, played the crap out of it for about 4 hours, and then got bored because it was very shallow.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything for the second game that makes you think, yes?
Not massively, no. But I think I've come to kind of think that that is what we're going to have from a gaming experience, is just it's their entry point into the stuff that Frontier does. So if I want something more juicy, then I can dive into Planet Zoo or Planet Coaster. If I want something that's quite surface deep and I just want to watch dinosaurs munch on people, then I can go for that. But I'm in no rush to get the second one at all.
And that's it then for the Portuguese Grand Prix. And what a sensational victory they've
I've not played much of the first one, to be honest. Oh, that's creepy.
Anthony, tell me, what was it that
So-
helped them achieve this success?
Christian Horner's head and arms were there, his body was not.
The game, like, they patch more bugs into this game every single time. Isn't it just astonishing? Unbelievable.
Nom nom nom. Yeah.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for
Look
the
at
Red
you
Bull
on the
team.
podium.
They performed exceptionally
I should have been on
today,
the top
keeping
step.
us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the
It was close,
entirety
but
of
I
the
mean,
race.
I
Congratulations to everyone at the
had
team.
it. I had it, and I fucked it.
Fuck smashed it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I managed to hold on to fastest lap, though, so hopefully the points deficit is not as big as it would otherwise be. I'm a little disappointed, though, with the gap to Carlos Sainz, because it takes the constructors off the table, pretty much. God, there's some hideous stuff in this stupid unlockable thing.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't it just horrible, some of this stuff? It's really bad. Yeah, Carlos finished P8.
To be fair, he was
Damn it, I didn't
stuck
even get past the
behind.
slap.
He was stuck behind me for the first stint for a lot of it. So
curse you.
it wasn't until him and Ricardo, I think it was, or him and Norris went either side of me down into turn 1, that he got past, and that was about lap 6. So yeah, he was stuck for a while. So that gap is nowhere near as bad as what I think it would normally be. I was doing all right though. I was 7 tenths ahead of Vettel on my fastest lap until I done it wrong, and then annoyingly, I bloody well chose Tsunoda as my rival, and he's the one that got the poxy point.
But you were running P10, right, when you had your accident?
Yeah. Although probably unfairly holding up Norris.
Well, we both had our own disappointments in our own way. Right, let's jog on time a little bit, and then we can call it, I suppose, since we are pretty much out of time.
Yeah.
Still, though, it's been very, very lovely, and I'm excited for this season. I'm already enjoying myself immensely. The standards of racing from all drivers has been high this season, he says one race in. Are you missing your old team? Not at all, things are much better here.
I did the other one.
The diplomatic answer.
Yeah.
More like dodge. I didn't hit anybody until I span and they drove into the back of me. Why are you... Like, no comment. Fuck you. I know you were promised Monaco, mate. Unfortunately, you have to dash, Simon, do you not?
Yes, please.
So you shall receive Monaco, I promise. But it will be next time out. Which hopefully will be a bit sooner than 2 weeks. But we'll have to discuss that and then put it on the Instagrams when we figure it out. At least I managed to get my acclaim up a little bit. So throwing away a win wasn't for naught.
You'd have had no acclaim if you'd have won. Disgraceful.
Usually when you move to Ferrari in career mode, like they set targets that are just completely unachievable and then they refuse to sign you for the second season. I'm expecting the same thing to happen here. Like, even if I win, I bet they don't sign me for a second year.
I wonder if it's because they will only entertain people of a certain acclaim level, and if you've not got there yet, then it's just like,
focus on the upgrades to our powertrain.
Well, I mean, I obviously had enough acclaim to be signed once. It's just like, I don't know. They seem to like boost their targets every year, and then decide no, it's not happening. Well then, ladies and germs, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, delightful. Grand to be back, and we shall be back with you all again very soon.
Thank you very much for the offer, Wodge. We will talk to you again very, very soon, and we promise you next time you'll get a full cast with 2 races. It was not to be today, unfortunately. Real life has got in the way somewhat, but still, chat has been bouncing. Plenty of people over on the stream today, so we're pathetically grateful for that. You have no idea. It's sad. You'd weep. And to everyone who pops by to watch on replay, mwah, we love you too. Guys, have the best week you possibly can. I hope Monday's been kind to all of you, and feel free to drop by to our respective YouTube channels, where there's going to be some Tyrrell Time, Grand Prix World this week, 2 to 3 episodes. And what's going on for you, Simon?
In theory, having some Ultimate Racing... Ultimate Racing 2D2 popping out tomorrow, along with a couple of other early access games that I've been sent previews of. More puzzly and obscure, not racing-y.
Well, still, I've very much been enjoying your reviews, actually, of games you've been sent. I've even bought one or two that you have recommended. I'm still working my way through Coffee Talk, but we can Coffee Talk about that next time. Guys, thank you so much. Please do take care of yourselves, and we will talk to you very, very soon. Mwah. Mwah. See you on Movie and Cheese Night.
Bye.